killed who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney.
What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please, Wayne.
What's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat. My microphone got knocked over along with everything else. My cat jumped up onto my computer desk, which she never does. I was gone for like an hour. I came back and I had half my stuff like on the ground. I guess she was playing with one of the cords and just like ripped everything over. So how does it sound? Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. All right, cool. All right, so today we'll go over the Charles Vallow and Tammy Daybell case. See if I can turn it up a little bit more. How's that? How's the volume? Is it good? It's a little low. Okay, how's that? Okay, there. That's a little bit better. Like I said, I didn't want to like blow your eardrums out, so that should sound a lot better. Yeah, I had to reset my whole system here. That sucks. All right, that's why I wanted to kind of start early, make sure everything was up. Okay, that should sound better now. Give me a thumbs up if that sounds much better. Much better. Okay, cool. All right. So, of course, if you're new to the channel, I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the paranormal. And we'll be going over the Doomsday cult. But before we get started, we always like to give back by featuring the missing. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And we've got, for those that are close to Utah or Nevada, we have a missing veteran, Matt Kemper. He went missing last month on January 5th. He was last seen, it says, at Red Rock Resort, Las Vegas at 10 a.m. His last cell phone ping was in North Glendale, Nevada. They said that he could be anywhere from Utah, Arizona, Nevada. So it's a lot of ground to cover. But let's see, where is his? Yeah, so he's 46 years old, 5'6", 130 pounds. Looks like Asian descent. And if you have any information, there's a bunch of numbers at the bottom here, but you can call Las Vegas Metro at 702-828-3111 or 911 or your local law enforcement. And we're going to keep an eye on this case because, as you guys know, we're going to be trying to go out and helping some people with some cold cases and the missing. And hopefully he's fine, but you know, when somebody goes missing, especially with a vehicle, there's some possibility that they could have ended up in water. Let's hope that's not the case, but just some of the areas that he went missing, there's Lake Powell, there's There's a couple of rivers out there. There's definitely some water out there, even though it's desert. But there are some areas that he could have accidentally driven into. Let's hope that's not the case, though. Okay. Volume is better, but still low. Okay, we'll go up just a little bit more. And that should do it. Yeah, I'm going to, after today, here, I'm going to do something real quick. 1 second. Okay, I just gotta get a little closer to the mic. I'm gonna have to get a new mic. I think my cat broke this one. Okay, is that better? Anyway, I'm gonna be playing a video, so once we get through the missing, it won't be much of a problem. So bear with me. Our second missing person is Dooley Eccles. He just barely went missing on February the 3rd. At approximately 10:43, he's just 16 years old. I'm just looking at the notes. He went missing in Gilbert, Arizona. So 2 people that could be missing in Arizona right now. Dooley Eccles, 16 years old, brown hair, blue eyes. I got a better picture of him. So there he is. Okay, much better. Okay, cool. Like I said, the cat just destroyed everything. But I still love her. So that is Dooley Eccles, just went missing, 16 years old, out of Gilbert, Arizona. All right, so some big updates before we get started. So today we'll be doing the Daybell case. Tomorrow, because we've been covering the Alex Murdaugh case, Steve's been doing some tests and actually discovered something huge. And so we're just waiting for him to finish up his test. I've got his first video ready. So we might have a live tomorrow, me and Steve, if not Monday for sure. But either way, we'll probably be covering, I know he's covering the case tonight, but I will also be covering the case tomorrow. So we'll be going back to that case. But his experiments are amazing, and you guys are going to be blown away with what he discovered. So excited to have him on and show that. So yeah, it's amazing. So, all right, we're going to go ahead. I did play a video for you guys yesterday if you caught the premiere. What I'm going to do is we'll play, there's 7 chapters. It's just kind of the backstory. So if you haven't heard this case, then you're in luck because I have the whole backstory. And then we'll talk about kind of the latest updates with them in court and everything if you don't know about this. So we'll go ahead and get this video started.
Husband Joseph at home, who is watching our 2 beautiful children, Colby, who's 7, and Tylee, who is 1.
What case? So this case is Lori Vallow. Tomorrow we'll be going back to the Alex Murdaugh case. And Steve's got some tests that he did and discovered something very interesting on the Alex Murdaugh case. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and play this. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and skip this forward real quick. And then we'll play each chapter, and then I'll pause, and then we'll break down. Because there's so much more I could have put in this video. Like, so much more. Lori Vallow. So this crazy story begins and centers around Lori Vallow. Real quick, let me know how the volume is on the video, too. Who was born in San Bernardino, California. Lori grew up with 1 younger sister, Summer, and 2 older brothers, Adam and Alex Cox. Lori was raised with the LDS religion, which is the Church of Latter-day Saints, and she was very sensitive with her faith, according to her father. In her 20s, Lori Vallow would have a son named Colby Ryan, her firstborn, and 6 years later would have Tylee Ryan. Lori would go on an episode of Wheel of Fortune.
Pretty much.
Talk about your family a little bit.
I have a wonderful husband, Joseph, at home, who is watching our 2 beautiful children, Colby, who's 7, and Tylee, who is 1.
Yeah, what do you guys like to do for fun?
We like to play all kinds of sports on our 3 acres.
Okay, sounds like you have a nice life there.
We do.
Congratulations.
And also win a beauty pageant. Okay, I just turned it up. Let me know how that is now. Lori believed she was a superior being and even spoke to angels. After 3 failed marriages, in 2006, Lori would marry again to Charles Vallow, who was a stable figure for Lori and the 2 kids. Although Charles grew up Catholic, he began to convert to the LDS faith per Lori's wishes. Okay, so fun fact is Chad was brought up, of course we haven't been introduced to Chad yet, but Chad was brought up in Utah. She was obviously born in San Bernardino, California, and then they would kind of move around, but she never came to Utah, but Chad was from Utah, and he would actually marry his first wife in Provo, Utah. And the church that you're looking at, actually, I used to pass almost every day going to work. I think this particular one, I want to say, is in West Valley or West Jordan. But yeah, this church in particular is kind of a newer one. I don't go to LDS, but I definitely recognize this church, so it's kind of crazy. To connect better with each other. In 2014, they adopted Joshua Jackson, known as JJ, who was Charles's grandnephew at the time. JJ unfortunately had autism and needed special care, but the couple, Charles and Lori, raised him like their own son, and they would all eventually move to Hawaii in 2014. The kids would go to school there, Tylee would meet her best friend, and they would open up their own smoothie bar on the beach side. Lori would also go to the LDS church and began to become more sensitive to her faith. Charles would soon have trouble keeping up with the direction of Lori's faith, causing a disconnection between the two. Chapter 2. Meeting Chad Daybell. In 2015 would be the first crack in this newly reformed family. Chad reminds me of Vince Vaughn. Really? Oh, I like Vince Vaughn. Yeah, Vince Vaughn. I love Vince Vaughn. That's funny. You think he looks like Vince Vaughn. I guess he does in a certain light, but he is nowhere near. Thank God they're the opposites. I love Vince Vaughn. He's a funny actor. Okay, so this preparing the people, that video that was playing, that was actually, I believe, in Orem or Provo, which is basically the same thing. And that was just like 10, 15 minutes away from me, that he was having that little convention. Lori, who was growing even more spiritually with her LDS faith, would read a series of books called Standing in Holy Places, which was written by Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell also grew up with the LDS faith in Utah. Chad would become more of an extremist in the religion after experiencing 2 NDEs, which stands for near-death experience, in which he was shown visions, past, present, and future, and also allowed him to see beyond the veil. Chad believed he had lived many lives before this one on other planets, and during this life there would be a second coming of Christ, and the world would end on July 22nd of 2020 by an apocalyptic event such as earthquakes. Chad was to lead the 144,000 followers that would survive Doomsday. And Rexburg, Idaho would become the new Jerusalem and a camp for survivors. So Chad would move his family to Rexburg, Idaho, and began writing the series of books about his visions. So Lori began to become obsessed with the books by Chad Daybell and growing more distant from Charles, claiming he was not putting enough effort into his LDS religion, causing another crack that would cause the family to try and restart by moving to Arizona in 2016. Colby would move on to college and marriage, but things would eventually get worse when Lori attended an event called Preparing the People, where Lori would meet Chad in the fall of 2018 and was introduced into a group of LDS extremists consisting of Chad, Melanie, Alex, and others who began to believe in the end times. So that's kind of crazy. Oops, it's a little loud. That's kind of crazy because I was actually here in Utah in 2018. I think I moved to Ohio at the early 2019 until 2021. Yeah. or 22. And so, yeah, that's crazy. I was just 10, 15 minutes from where that Preparing the People was being held. Joe, what's Steve's channel's name? It is True Crime Web, and as a matter of fact, I'm just glad you brought that up real quick. If you stay, his show starts at not on this hour, but the next hour. Basically, when I end, if you stay in this chat, it'll just link you to his show that's coming up, where he'll be talking about the Alex Murdaugh case. So if you stay here, or you can click on the link with Nightbot here. But either way, if you stay in the chat, his video's after mine. Chad would tell Lori that he and Lori had been married 7 times in a previous life. Chapter 3, The Breaking Point. Okay, so alright, so I gotta keep turning this up. Yeah, I've gotta fix my stuff after the show. My apologies. But, yeah, so Lori, she had 3 husbands before Charles, who's in front of us here. And they didn't last very long. But Charles, they were married for, I think, 16 years. And, I mean, for the most part, it was a very good marriage. And he was even Catholic. And when he married her, because she was so into her LDS faith, she had him convert over to LDS, which I've never been too much into religion. But I can only imagine, you know, being brought up with one religion and converting over, that must have been a big step. And he did it, but apparently one of the wedges with Lori and Charles is that, especially after her meeting Chad and learning about this, you know, second coming and everything, she just started getting even more spiritual, and that drove a wedge between them. And I'm sure there's a lot more that we don't know, but that's kind of like the backstory. And so anyway, they tried to restart by moving from Hawaii back to Arizona. Charles, his job required him usually to be going out of town often. I think he was helping like retired school teachers kind of set up their retirement and stuff like that. And so anyway, now we move to the beginning of 2019, and this is when this is literally the breaking point. This time, Charles Vallow was often going out of town for his work, and Lori began hosting private meetings at her home in Arizona, and this is where they learned about the light and dark spirits and how Chad had the ability to see them. Light being good souls, and dark meaning the spirit has left the body and a demon has replaced them, and they were called zombies, or Z's for short. Chad told Lori she was an eternal being and was meant to be by his side, and that they needed to get rid of the dark spirits, aka zombies, and he would even make up a list for Lori that had all her close family members and friends on it with a rating system. In early 2000. So if we look at this rating system, and I think he built this in early 2019 or late 2018, and this has basically all of Lori's family members. We've got Josh Vallow, it was For Light, Zach Vallow, and as we can see here, this is a big red flag. And daughter Tylee Ryan, he's got her labeled as a 4.1D, which is a dark spirit, which is not good. They consider them a demon. Basically, if they're dark, that means that their soul has left their body. A demon has replaced it, and they usually have names for them. In Charles's case, apparently his soul has left him, and now he has some person called Ned Schneider or Nick Schneider in his body, and so he's basically a demon, and he's not Charles anymore. If we back it up, I think we see Charles as... So originally it's weird because they have him as a 3 light, but then I guess he, according to Lori and Chad, he has been Nick Schneider for, I think, months or a year or whatever. With the rating system. In early 2019, things got to a breaking point with Charles and Lori.
In April, they would split up and file for divorce.
Right.
Lori told her family and friends that Charles had been cheating on her and had convinced most of her family and friends to shun Charles and ignore him. Charles would somehow get a hold of an email Chad Daybell wrote on January 23rd of 2019 that had all the family members ranked.
Real quick, we are going through part of it, and then we're going to go through the whole story. So, because we only got to half the story. So we're doing the whole story today.
Fearing Lori may hurt the kids or himself, he began forwarding this email along with a plea for help from the families, but sadly most believed he was acting suspicious and more crazy than Lori, and they would ignore these messages. While Charles was coming back from out of town, Lori and her brother Alex would take Charles's truck from the airport and break into his home and take most of his stuff, and even drained one of the bank accounts. Charles would have to get the law enforcement involved.
So before I play this is so messed up because he was out on his trip and okay, there we go. I got the better. Okay, I think I just fixed my mic. Hopefully. Anyway, so while he was out on one of his jobs, and of course this is at the breaking point and they were filing for a divorce, while he was gone, she went to the airport with her brother Alex, who, if you don't know this story, is basically the family hitman and is real close to, is very protective of Lori. And they literally go to the airport and take his truck and then drive the truck back to his home and then break into that. Well, actually, since they weren't completely divorced yet, I guess it was considered both of theirs, so it was joint. Anyways, so, and she goes, and her and Alex literally get all his clothing, get both the cars, and throw his clothing away in the trash, and take both the vehicles. And so he comes back, looking for his truck in the parking stall, which if anybody's been at the airport, must have been a disaster, like probably walking around for hours, like wondering where the hell is my truck, and it's not there. So I'm assuming he took a taxi home. And then and while they were there at the house, before they left, they changed the locks. So he couldn't get in his house. So the keys that he has for the house are no good because she changed the locks. So oh man, it's messed up. So here's just a short little interview. I don't play the whole thing because it's pretty long. But here's him talking about how Lori's threatening him about being a zombie.
She pose a threat to your children?
I don't know what she's going to do with them. I don't know if she's going to flee with them. She's going to hurt them.
You don't even know if she's here, right?
Today on the phone.
Has she made any statements about wanting to hurt the children or anything?
Today she said with Gabe on the phone, come take the kids. I don't care what happens to them. Come take them.
She said that she would murder you through a spiritual...
No, she said, I can murder you.
I can murder you. And she's talking in a spirit...
I will kill you.
Spiritual...
No, she's talking physically. I will kill you because you're not Charles, and nobody will care.
Okay.
So yeah, and so there's much more to that, but basically she was threatening him physically and spiritually because she doesn't believe he is Charles anymore, and he's just basically a zombie demon, and somebody's replaced his body. And so here's just a little look, because he was able to get the garage door open, but the key that he had wouldn't work because she changed not only the front door lock, but she changed the lock to the garage door, from the garage to the house. And what you don't notice is actually Charles, poor guy, because he's in his 60s now, he tries to kick the door open and kind of hurts himself. And so now they have the officers kicking the door open.
But after hearing both sides, they didn't really do anything. Lori would then move her and the two kids into a rental home in Chandler, Arizona. Chapter 4. Getting Rid of Zombies. On July 11th, 2019, knowing that Charles was coming over and was going to confront Lori about everything, Lori had her brother Alex spend the night so he would be there in the morning. When Charles came over to pick up JJ, Charles and Lori immediately began to argue. He would then acquire a bat after snatching it from Tylee's hands. The kids and Lori would leave.
So what was supposed to happen was literally he was just supposed to come over and pick JJ up, who is, his grandnephew, considered his son, and he was going to take him to school. And what they don't really, they do talk about, what wasn't really mentioned is apparently, because he's always on his phone, Charles is, and apparently I guess he may have set his phone down, or in this kind of interaction of kind of getting in a yelling match, Lori took his phone and started accusing that, because this whole thing started with her saying that he was cheating on her, but really it was the other way around. Apparently people that know Lori say that she has a pretty high libido, and after meeting Chad probably was already wouldn't be surprised if they were even having intimate relationships at this time, but that's just speculation. But apparently she grabbed his phone while he was trying to get JJ, and that could have started the argument. We don't know for sure because most of the witnesses are gone, and so anyway, we'll keep playing. So, but Tylee, while they were screaming, Lori and Charles, Alex was in his bedroom. He comes out. Tylee comes out of her bedroom with a bat. Charles supposedly takes the bat from her, and then was kind of waving her around, according to Alex. And so Lori and JJ and Tylee leave, and then it's just Alex and Charles. And according to Alex, he said that he gets hit in the head with the bat, and we'll play from here.
Leave the house while Alex and Charles were still inside, and according to Alex Cox, after getting hit in the head with the bat, he went to grab his gun, and after being threatened again by Charles, Alex would shoot Charles multiple times in the chest and stomach, killing Charles instantly. Although this appeared to be self-defense to law enforcement, what they didn't know at the time was this was all pretty much planned out by Lori and Alex, and they knew Charles was going to confront her that morning, and according to Alex and Lori, they believed they were just getting rid of a zombie and doing God's work. Alex wouldn't call 911 for 45 minutes.
For Peaks and Chandler, is that right?
Yes.
You need
Yes.
police or paramedics?
Both. Police and an ambulance.
What's the emergency there?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
Okay, let me get the medics on the phone.
Conscious.
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Okay, are you willing to go over to him and check?
Sure.
You're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go 2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Making sure his chest goes up between each compression. Where's the...
So you can hear that heavy breathing. He's not really, because he never had any blood on his hands. And he was shot, Charles was shot, I think 2 or 3 times in the chest and stomach, basically instantly killing him. We do see a video where he's loading some bullets into this gun. And I'm not familiar with bullets and guns, but they're humongous bullets and a humongous gun that he had. And I'm sure just one shot probably, especially in the chest, instant, So clearly, here he is heavily breathing into the mic, into the phone, but he never did CPR. Now, what's sad? I got to stop for 1 second. Just a quick shout out. What's up, True Crime Web? He's got a few more days to finish processing. Okay. So, like I said, for those that are just tuning in, if you stay after this show, it'll link over to Steve's channel. So if you just stay here and you're interested in some of the latest from Alex Murdaugh and what Steve has to say, former law enforcement, just hang out, and it'll switch over to his channel after I'm done. So what's messed up, something I found out, is Charles and Alex, apparently, according to Lori's mother in an interview, they were actually really good friends. I guess they were like really, really close. Because I guess Alex did not, of course, he's very protective of Lori, and he hated all of her previous husbands, especially the one just before, which I don't really talk about in this video, but he actually went to jail or prison, did some time because he actually stunned her previous husband. I want to say Joseph Ryan or something. I know what the ends with a Ryan. I think it's Joseph Ryan, which was her third husband. And anyway, so he hated all of her previous husbands, but he really liked Charles. And like I said, they were really good friends. So that's what's really sad is that they got into this, if you want to, a lot of people call it cult, whatever behavior, and believed that the end times were coming and that there was these 20,000 zombies that they got to get rid of to prepare for the second coming of Christ.
Fun now.
Meanwhile, Lori took the rental that Charles came with, and her and the kids went to Burger King and shopping after dropping JJ off to school. Lori also knew that Charles had a $1 million life insurance plan, which she thought she was still the primary beneficiary for. What she didn't know is Charles had changed it to his sister Kay Woodcock, knowing that something may happen to him. With just a year to go before Doomsday, Chad, Alex, Lori, and a few others were on a mission to get rid of the 20,000 zombies before the second coming of Christ. Chapter 5. Tylee Ryan.
So that's the thing I don't understand is why they needed to get rid of the zombies. Like, this is why it's so frustrating. Why not just hand the kids off if they feel, if it's going to be Armageddon, when do you think, like, if it's going to be like the end of the world, don't you think the zombies would like just perish in this, apocalyptic event? I mean, I guess maybe the thought process is that these 20,000 zombies would survive it, and that's why they need to get rid of them. I don't know. That's something that's not really ever talked about. I don't know if anybody knows more about that. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for the $2. But yeah, I just don't understand, especially with the kids. Just hand them off. I mean, it's so stupid. So, all right, chapter 5. We're a little more than halfway through, and then, like I said, there's 7 chapters, and then we'll go over what I didn't go over yesterday and just the latest updates.
Lori would move in September 2019 to Rexburg, Idaho, taking JJ and Tylee with her.
It's different.
The townhomes they moved into were located just 15 minutes from Chad Daybell's home. What people don't really talk about is that Tylee was now 16 years old and was going through a tough time, just losing her closest father figure and being separated again with anyone she ever knew, and also probably putting together the relationship between Chad and her mother Lori, who were becoming more intimate. I would speculate she may have had problems with this relationship, and with the move she could have been acting out. Also, not to mention, she was the only other witness besides Lori who saw what went down between the altercation between Charles, Lori, and Alex, making her a liability. Tylee was labeled as a dark spirit according to Chad's chart. Lori's brother Alex and niece would also move to the same complex as well. Sadly, this is when the sightings of the 2 kids, JJ and Tylee, would become sparse, and the information about exactly what happens to them is very limited. On September 6, we see a neighbor taking a picture and uploading to Facebook of JJ playing outside the townhomes in Rexburg. On September 8th, Lori, Alex, JJ, and Tylee would go to Yellowstone National Park. Sadly, this would be the last few photos of Tylee seen alive. This part is where it's unclear as to when exactly Tylee was murdered and who exactly was involved. But either that night of the 8th or early morning of the 9th of September, sadly, Tylee's life would be taken.
So yeah, we don't know exactly, what happened to her. Of course, they have the remains and they have the autopsy results, but unfortunately, trigger warning, they did cut up her body and burn it. I don't know how badly it was, but it is terrible. I think we'll learn, because Chad's in his preliminary hearing right now, but when they go to, the regular trial, I think, it'll eventually be released on what happened to all of them.
That next day, early in the morning on the 9th, Alex Cox's cell phone would be tracked to Daybell's home, where Tylee's body would apparently be cut up, burned, and buried in the pet cemetery. So it's assumed that Alex was the one who killed Tylee, but there may have been other parties involved, including Lori and Chad. Chad would send this eerie message to his wife at approximately 11:53 a.m.
So I'm going to read this out, and then I'll get to the messages. So Chad to Tammy, this is on that day, on the 9th, I believe. And of course, he just writes books, so he doesn't go to work. His wife, Tammy, was a librarian at a school, so I'd assume she has like the 9 to 5 hours or something like that, or 8 to 5, whatever. So it says, well, I had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all the limb debris by the fire pit before it got soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough, and that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times. And she would reply, hey, way to go. But anyway, that proves that he was definitely there, and most likely, this is speculation, but he was home when Alex, so I'm assuming Alex and probably Chad were both responsible for burying Tylee. And he may have been responsible for more, too.
This would mean he was home.
Oops, sorry. I wanted to quickly grab these real quick. God bless those kids. I know. I got to know. Thank you so much for the $2. Miss Renee, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. Okay, we'll keep going. We got 40 minutes to go.
And at the very least participated in the disposal of Tylee Ryan's remains. Considering he admits to owning a gun in this text, could mean he may have been involved. Lori's son Colby, who was starting his own family.
Yeah, that wasn't the raccoon. He's talking about the... I don't know if he shot Tylee, but I think he's just trying to make an excuse if his wife was wondering, oh, I noticed there's some fresh soil dug up in the pet cemetery. That's his... they believe that's his, his alibi for why there was, something buried in the pet cemetery.
Family with a newborn baby girl would attempt to reach out to his sister Tylee on her birthday on September 24th by texting her and calling her. He would only receive text messages from her number, but noticed something was very off about the text messages that were being sent back. They didn't have any punctuation and didn't seem like they were coming from Tylee.
And there was something I wanted to put in this video, and I couldn't find it soon enough to get this out. But what's interesting is there's an email that his mother, Lori, sends to him, and the way she spells Kolbs is the exact same way. All lowercase, C-O-L-B-S. Now, his regular name is Colby, but I thought that was crazy, and I was trying to find it, but I just didn't have enough time. But there's an email where she says, hey, Kolbs, and it's all just lowercase. So he's trying to send these text messages to Tylee's phone. Her birthday was on September 24th, but she, sadly, had been dead for weeks now, and it was his mother texting him.
He would continue to text Tylee's phone and would receive short answers back with some excuse as to why she couldn't call him back. Sadly, Tylee had been dead for weeks now, and it was really his mother, Lori, sending the text messages pretending to be Tylee. After Colby called his mother out about everything going on, she eventually turned off Tylee's phone and told everyone that asked about Tylee that she was off to college at BYUI, but in reality she was rotting in Chad Daybell's pet cemetery. Chapter 6. Joshua Jackson. So during part of September 2019, JJ was going to Kennedy Elementary School. On September 6th, he was captured playing outside his home with Tylee. Then we have the final pictures of Tylee and JJ together at the Yellowstone National Park on the 8th. What is not really mentioned about JJ in his final weeks is that he was not receiving his regular dose of medication.
So yeah, so this was something that I learned while making the video that I did not know, because there's just so much to this crazy case, just so much. But this risperidone, I'm sorry if I butchered that, risperidone, is some medication that is for autism. I guess it, because I guess autism can get you kind of agitated, and so that's supposed to help with the agitation for kids that suffer with autism. And so and it's kind of like, I would guess it would be kind of something, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to speculate, but anyway, obviously it's supposed to kind of help with his agitation. And they noticed when she had left those townhomes, when they started looking for the kids, they found the pill bottle, and it was filled, I think, in September, August, and it's supposed to be a month's supply. There were still 17 pills left, clearly stating that she was not giving him his medication, which is absolutely terrible.
Medication that treats irritability caused by autism.
Yeah, it is.
Many believe Lori did this on purpose to show her inner circle on how he was behaving more like a demon and considered a zombie. JJ and Tylee would eventually be labeled as dark spirits. This, of course, is upsetting, and without JJ's medication, he would have episodes. He was also caught on camera acting out with another kid and swearing. After Tylee's disappearance, JJ was often seen playing outside unsupervised. This camera footage would be the last video evidence of JJ seen alive. He was seen for the last time at school and later that night on September 23rd. This is the last picture taken of JJ in red pajamas on the 22nd at 10:46 a.m. This will be significant in a little bit. During this week of September, Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend David Warwick had been visiting and been spending the night in the townhomes, which consisted of multiple apartments occupied by the different...
So that group, David and Melanie, they would kind of get close. They were kind of they kind of believed in the end times, but they weren't, I mean, I don't know if you could call them extremists, but they kind of believed in the end times, and they were doing, the podcast, but they didn't really believe in the zombies. And I don't know how much well, I guess I can't speak for them, but, of course they'd be some big witnesses for, court against Lori and Chad. So
members like Alex, Lori, and her niece. Gibb and Warwick were the last people to see JJ alive during the night of the 23rd. They were all going to sit down and do a podcast when apparently JJ started acting up. So his uncle Alex came over and took JJ to his apartment. Alex would later bring JJ back over, covered up in his arms.
I don't think this photo here, I don't know if it's from a door cam. I don't know. Now the video of him running around, which is the last, that's from the door cam. Him playing with the other kid, that's definitely from the door cam. I think this is the last photo that was taken though, and it's taken one day before he goes missing.
Wearing the same red pajamas seen earlier in this photo, and Warwick saw JJ and said that he looked peaceful. After carrying JJ away into the bedroom, he would never be seen again. The next morning, Alex Cox's phone would ping sometime in the early hours of September 24th at Chad Daybell's property, as he would bury the child in the backyard not too far from where Tylee's body was buried. What isn't known is that if he had help or not by someone like Chad and Lori. Chad Daybell also used to work in a cemetery as a gravedigger back in 2004, so it wouldn't surprise me if Chad Daybell helped with burying one or both of the kids along with Alex.
So this is going to be an argument, I guess, for the defense side for Chad, is since he was a gravedigger, and I didn't even think about this, because I guess the kids were found in a shallow grave, and they said, well, if Chad was the one, helping, he's a gravedigger, he would have, gone, 6 feet or whatever, wouldn't have just dug a shallow grave. So apparently that's going to be a big, I don't know, a big part, but that's going to be part of their defense for Chad, is that if he was going to help with disposing, he would have buried him deeper, I guess.
Alex's cell phone pinged twice at the Daybell residence in September, and those 2 times were on the 9th and the 24th of September. When Melanie Gibb and David Warwick were asked about JJ's absence, Lori said that he had become a zombie and was climbing on the cabin tree and on the ceiling and knocking over a picture of Jesus, and Lori would tell different excuses when asked about the kids on where they were at. Chapter 7. Tammy Daybell. Chad and Tammy Daybell married in 1990 and would live in Provo, Utah. Okay. They had 5 kids together and seemed like the perfect couple.
I feel really bad for Chad Daybell's kids. I'm sure they're very, kind kids. I feel bad for him. Watching the interview, of course they got to stick up for their dad. I mean, I think some people always act surprised when family members stick together with a family member that has done terrible things. I mean, it's usually, But anyway, I just feel bad for him. I think they're definitely in denial,
Tammy, who worked in several fields like graphic arts and a computer teacher, she was well loved by many and told she was a computer genius with a bright future, but that would all change after Daybell had his 2 NDEs, causing him to believe he could see beyond the veil, and that he was told he needed to move his family to Rexburg, Idaho for the second coming of Christ. While Tammy was working as a librarian at a school, since the move to Rexburg, Chad was building his group of followers, including Lori, who he began seeing more often since Lori had moved and was just 15 minutes away. During that time in September of 2019, Melanie Gibb noticed that Chad and Lori were very close now and was likely that they had intimate relations with each other. Although Chad originally had Tammy on the light side of his chart, on the 5th of October, Chad sent Lori a text message saying Tammy is in limbo and a level 3 demonic entity named Viola is in her body. Further in the text message, he talks about how he has connected with Tammy in limbo and she is frustrated and wants this Viola demon removed. One day prior, he texted Lori about hastening her departure. It's now evident that he has considered Tammy a zombie and needs to kill her. So 4 days later, Tammy had apparently gotten back from the store and was carrying groceries inside when a guy wearing a ski mask with what she says is a paintball gun who was waiting behind her car after she got out and supposedly started shooting at her. Luckily, she was.
And I think I haven't shot a paintball gun in years, or decades, but I think there's some paintball guns, because there's airsoft guns now that look just like regular guns, but I think there's some paintball guns that even look more just like the real thing. But I think the reason why she thought it was a paintball gun is either that it jammed or he had a silencer on it. And I think that would kind of make it sound like it. But, she says in this text, I'll play it.
Hit, and the guy suspiciously goes around to the back of the house where Chad apparently comes out and runs around the house to catch the guy. This is all that was reported, but I wanted to break down what I believe may have happened. I'm sure we can all assume who the guy in the ski mask was, most likely Alex Cox, and it sounds like Chad must have known what was going down, but what Tammy didn't know is that was probably not a paintball gun, and was more likely either a gun with a silencer on it, which would sound more like a paintball gun, or the gun jammed, or possibly a combination of both, which may have saved her life for the time being. The fact that the ski mask guy ran towards the back makes me assume Alex and Chad had a plan, and if it backfired, he would run to the backyard and Chad would supposedly act like he chased the guy away, letting Alex Cox escape. Now, this is just my speculation. Sadly, she wouldn't be so lucky on October 19th when she supposedly passed away in her sleep. Chad told his friends and those close to him that Tammy had apparently gotten sick all of the sudden and was too stubborn to go to the doctors. Chad told the examiner not to do an autopsy on her, and they would have a funeral for Tammy, where apparently Chad would say some odd things during her eulogy, explaining she has since came to visit him and she is helping him put things in order with the kids.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. That's pretty much the end of it. I was going to do a 2-part series, but YouTube's been weird. That video tanked, even though it had 100% like ratio. I noticed a lot of channels are having some weird numbers. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I don't even want to begin to think about it. It kind of drives me nuts. Numbers have been low. I don't know. I don't think people have been getting their notifications, and it's frustrating. Okay, so moving on. So she passes away. I'm going to just pull up the timeline here to show you guys just the devastation. So we have September 2019. We have JJ and Tylee both lose their lives. And then in October, what I was going to mention, I forgot to do. I was going to do after Tammy. But before her death, on the 2nd, is we have this, and I'll play this little quick video, is Brandon, and I forget his last name. Let's see. Where are we at?
I'm Nate Eaton, and we are getting a closer look at surveillance footage from Self Storage Plus in Rexburg. This is the facility for on the 1st.
Okay, so this is Chad and Lori, and what they've got is a tie. Well, I think they have a couple things, but the main thing that they have, let's see if I can play it back here.
Plus in Rexburg. This is the facility where Lori Vallow went on October 1st to rent a storage unit, and inside she placed some very personal belongings, such as children's bikes, scooters, also some photo albums, and blankets with pictures of her children, JJ and Tylee. Lori and sometimes 2 men visited the facility 9 times in October and 1 time in November. The big question is what happened on October 2nd. We know that Lori rented the unit by herself the day before on the 1st, but on October 2nd, she came in her blue Nissan Rogue with a man we originally thought was Alex Cox, her brother. But a closer look of enhanced high-quality video shows it likely was not Alex. In fact, it appears to be Chad.
Yeah, Chad is much, I think he's a little taller and a little wider. So I believe, I'm not sure if it's this video, but she puts a tire. So they still have, all this time after Charles has passed away in July. So we have, we have this 2019. So we have July and August. That's not in here, but, Charles, is killed in July. Then we have August, September, October. So months after Charles's passing, they still have his red Jeep. I don't know, I guess Alex or Lori are driving it around. And anyway, they put the tire, so if everyone knows a Jeep, you have the spare on the back. And they took the tire off of the back, the spare tire that's on the back, purposely. So Lori had a niece, Melina, I think it's Melanie. And she had a recent former husband, Brandon. And they considered him a zombie. And so he ended up getting shot at. Luckily, he was not hit, but he was pulling up to his house and noticed a red Jeep, and he kind of recognized it because he knew, he knew the family. And it was like, man, that Jeep looks familiar. And I think he was I think he was parking or something, or was about to park into his home. And somebody in the back seat opens up the window out of the rear and shoots at him. And luckily, the bullet went over his head or something. And then he drives off, and the Jeep actually follows him. It ends up, of course, being Alex Cox. And I guess Alex chases him for a bit and then leaves. But he's lucky. He's one of the few that that was attempted to, in his life. Just really lucky. And so, anyway, I guess that video of them, of Lori and Chad, they were putting the tire in the storage shed. So just crazy. And then a week later, literally a week later, you would have Tammy's death. So, I mean, they were on a mission. On a mission. So, hey, Tom. Good evening, everyone. This is the wildest case in the history of true crime. Oh, yeah. We have been on the roller coaster. Absolutely insane roller coaster of facts in this case. Some of those facts sound too crazy to be even true. Crazy and wild. Thanks so much, Tom. Glad you're here, buddy. Appreciate the support. So, yeah, we've got about 20 minutes before Steve starts. So, we're going to kind of fast forward here. So, after Tammy's death on October 9th, then we have... We'll kind of... Well, I guess we'll keep this up for just a minute. Let me clear that. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Johnson. I tried to be. And... Okay, so November 5th, they get married. They go to Hawaii and get married. Then they come back to Arizona in those townhomes that they're living in. And then Kay and Larry Woodcock, which is the grandparents to JJ, haven't heard from JJ in months. And they had a short little, FaceTime over the phone. I'm not sure, somewhere in September or early September. And so they haven't spoken to JJ in months and are wondering, where is JJ? And so they finally send some Rexburg Police Department out there to the townhomes. And the Chad and Lori, Alex, they're all there. And they all basically say, well, first they say Lori isn't here, but they find Lori eventually. And she says, oh, well, she's staying with... Well, I think the first, when they go to Chad and Alex's apartment, or I think it's Alex's apartment, but Chad's there helping move. Alex says, oh, no, he's with Kay Woodcock and Kay and Larry Woodcock. But the officers are like, no, that can't be, because they're the ones that called on the kids. And so then they go to talk to Lori, and she says, oh, well, she's staying with my friend Melanie Gibbs. And that's why Melanie Gibb is a big witness in this case for Lori and Chad. So they put a official thing on the 26th of the kids missing. And then some justice would finally come for these terrible people. On December 12th, we would have the Hitman pass away. On December 12th, he had a thrombosis. I'm trying to think of the condition. But anyway, he had blood clots in his lungs. And so, at least there's some justice. If you're wondering how he probably died, he probably choked to death slowly and suffocated. So, I'm glad, I'm not I hate to say that, but, from what he's done, there was a little bit of justice that, that came in the form. So he passed away on December 12th, blood clots in the lung. He was kind of suffering, having trouble breathing weeks prior. I guess never went to the doctors or anything to have it checked out. And there would be a 911 call. We're not going to listen to the whole thing because we got just a little bit of time left. I want to get caught up to the court stuff here as well. Thanks, Tom. Pulmonary embolism, that's what it was. Thank you so much. Please leave your ding hand on the like button. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Thanks for your hard work, Chris Mods. Thank you so much. Thought Alex was apparent suicide. No, and apparently the pulmonary embolism, or the thrombosis thing or whatever, I guess that ran in the family on the Vallow side, or the Cox side, excuse me. And so, yeah. So basically, he, from what I was looking up, the condition, he most likely suffocated. So honestly, a little bit of justice. So then since the Rexburg police are looking for the kids, Chad and Lori, they then move to Hawaii to run away. So let's play that.
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai.
I think Nate Eaton is like the news daddy of I guess Brian Enton comes out to the west too. So I think Nate Eaton is also the the other news daddy. I have much respect for him.
To one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized and they had no way to get home. We had a chance to ask them so many questions that need answers. Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids?
No comment.
No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children? Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad? Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children?
I know.
What do you guys plan to do now? Are you you have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what? Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori? Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
I love him.
Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. And you're over here on the beach? This is your chance to tell your story.
He did. He did.
Nothing
He
you
did
wanna
an
say?
amazing job.
One last chance right here. Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho? Laura, you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii? Were you planning to take off? And with that, Chad and Lori darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching.
Yeah, he was persistent. I never saw this whole thing. I always saw just the short clip where, you know, she responds, "Oh, that's great," you know, that terrible part. Yeah, go Nate. He's awesome. Because he covers a lot of stuff. Obviously, he's Idaho, but he does cover, you know, Dylan Rounds. He's been covering that case. What's the other one? I can't think of it. It's part of Missing 411. But yeah, J.J. Orr. Little Dior. Yeah. So anyway, let's see what we got. About 15 minutes left. So let's, okay. So then let's go to the sad day. So it wouldn't be until, June of 2020. So literally, according to them, because remember, July 22nd of 2020. So now we're into the year 2020, which, you know, they believe the end times come in July. And I think right in June, let me double check this. It's June when they, so of course, after that day that Nate Eaton was following them, they were given an order that they have to show the kids in 5 days. And of course, they couldn't produce them. So Lori was arrested. Chad wasn't. So she was arrested. And then, yeah, June. So she was arrested first, and then he would show up in her court. And then June 9th, this is June 9th.
Right now, we are following breaking news in Idaho, where Rexburg police say human remains have been discovered on Chad Daybell's property.
This may be the break in the case authorities have been looking for after J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan disappeared in September of last year.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is live in Salem, Idaho tonight with details on this major development. Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly and Bob. A huge day, probably one of the biggest in this case so far. We're going to show you where we're at. We're across the field from Chad Daybell's home, and we're going to zoom way in here to where you can see some tents are set up outside on Chad's property, as well as investigators have been walking around. Investigators from the Rexburg Police Department, the Fremont County Sheriff's Office, as well as the FBI and evidence response team. We're told about 20 members of the FBI, and this is where we believe they have found what they've confirmed to be those human remains. Now, Rexburg police at this point are not confirming or can't identify.
Okay, so I'm gonna just because we're almost time's up. So of course they would find the remains. Now let's see, do they have it in this? I have the video. If not, so Chad during this time on June 9th when they're searching his home, he's actually. I think Lori actually calls him from, because she's at jail, and she actually calls him, and I don't think she knew that they were searching his property. So there's a phone call. I wish we had time to play it. So anyway, he's not very happy, and so it's a short conversation, and of course he doesn't sound too happy at all. And anyway, no, for somebody that has no idea what's going on, according to his defense, once they start digging and stuff, he starts hauling butt. And so I'm going to play this. I think this is the video. Oops. Gotta play this one.
Where are your kids? No comment? They've been
thousands of
Sorry, trying to find it.
Where are your kids? Nothing to say.
So violent that investigators. Here's what we know about the Daybell case.
Oh, that's the other one. Anyway, so they capture him. Of course, he's hauling butt, and they literally just haul butt and arrest him like half a mile down the road. And somebody kind of caught it on film, and it's a little bit of justice seeing him, in handcuffs and his head down. But it's like, if you were innocent, why would you run? Because his kids, and like I said, I feel really bad for his kids, because they're like, well, he probably had no idea that the kids were buried back there. And well, I'm like, why would he run? If they were getting close, if he didn't know that their remains were in the backyard, why would he run? And of course, as they were just about to find the remains, or as they were finding the remains, he bolts. And so I think that doesn't look good. So we're going to play just the last little bit here. So here's the court updates. So she had been obviously arrested first. She wanted a speedy trial. She didn't waive her right to a speedy trial, but she had competency issues. So she couldn't stand trial, and so her trial kept getting pushed back. And of course they arrested Chad. And Chad actually did waive his right to a speedy trial. He wanted to have everything. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to have Chad and Lori as co-defendants, just because they were going to basically have the same witnesses, and it would save the court a lot of money and the taxpayers a lot of money, because they were just, it's basically the same case. They're basically involved in the same thing, a conspiracy. And so they wanted to try them together. It just makes sense. But then Lori had her issue or whatever, and she couldn't stand trial at the time. And so anyway, then they finally reevaluated her, last year or something. And she was finally able to, let me get caught up here. She was finally able to stand trial again. And now she wants to have her case dismissed because since she didn't waive her right to a speedy trial, and she's been in jail for 3 years, and usually she should have just, had her trial in, in, I don't know, a couple months or, but because of the competency, that pushed her whole thing back, and now they're not being tried together. I guess it's going to be, I don't know how that's going to work. I think it might be 2 separate cases now, but yes, they are going for death penalty on both. So here's the latest.
Well, new at 6, the state of Idaho denied Lori Vallow Daybell's motion to dismiss her case due to a lack of a speedy trial. Vallow Daybell is accused of killing her 2 children, JJ and Tylee, as well as her current husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell. In a document filed yesterday in Fremont County, prosecutors for the state say while she was originally arrested in February of 2020, that arrest happened in a prior case where, quote, substantially different offenses were charged. The state says the clock for a speedy trial starts on the current charges, which they say for Lori was April 19th of 2022, the day she was indicted in district court. Under Idaho law, a speedy trial must happen within 6 months of an indictment. Her trial was originally set to start in October, but competency issues forced it to be pushed back to January, then again to April because of scheduling issues. The trial, which also features her co-defendant and husband, Chad Daybell, is scheduled to begin April 3rd in Ada County.
April 3rd. Yeah, so that would be crazy if you're the actual Kay Woodcock. But yeah, my prayers to the family, to the Woodcocks. And they've been fighting really hard. They wanted the cameras in the courtroom, which I think would be great. But I think the latest thing was they dismissed that, if I recall correctly. Let me know in the chat. My chat's getting messed up real quick. That'd be crazy if you're the real Kay Woodcock. I said my prayers, because I do know families do check in on this kind of stuff, but yeah, just a terrible story. I just don't understand, like I said, to me with the zombies thing, why not, if it was going to be the end of the world, why not just hand the kids off? If this apocalyptic earthquake was going to happen, why not just, give the kids to the family members or whatever and do your thing? If everybody's going to supposedly, get burned up or, whatever, what does it matter? I just, that part never made sense to me at all. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to, let's see on Twitter, because they wanted to have their 2 trials together and just to save the court some time and money. I can only imagine how much money it's going to cost to have 2 different trials, but this is the latest. This was February 2nd. State in her objection to mental health. 5 doctors agreed that she has varying degrees of some unknown illness. I'm sure. Yeah. Justin Lum, he's been amazing. He's been covering this case really good. I think he's from Fox News. Okay, so this is the same thing here. If there's anything, and this is Chad. I have to save this. See if we can look at this here. Oops. Anyway, what time do we got? Sorry, I hate to rush, but I want to make sure I end just before Steve starts. Where did that save to? Oh, there it is. I can see it here. Okay, there we go. So this is for Chad, and because he has his preliminary. January 29th, defense. This is DNA reports. Defense motion to compel. I'm not much of a lawyer, so I'm not sure what this is. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'll have to look into it. I'll give you guys an update next time we go live. Sorry I had to rush this last little part, but I want to make sure I get finished before Steve starts. But anyway, so tomorrow we'll be starting back with the Alex Murdaugh case because Steve has been doing some stuff. I don't know if we'll be doing the his test yet, but it'll probably be like Monday or Tuesday. We'll see. So you guys are saying been a long road. Hopefully we're yeah, April 3rd. So April 3rd is what they said. Okay, thank you. Hopefully they. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 3 years. She's just I've been waiting. That's wild. But yeah, death penalty. And I'm sure let's hope justice comes. It takes a long time, and the poor Woodcocks have been waiting a very long time, been very patient, and I feel very bad because they wanted, you know, with the court, they wanted the cameras in there, but I think they said no. So all right, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just if you guys want to stick around for Steve's show, it'll literally direct you to his show. So I'm just gonna play the outro now. I'm gonna have a new pet outro. You guys have been sending them in, so we'll get one together real soon. But if you're want to check out Steve's show, it'll literally just redirect you on the hour if you just hang out in the chat. So I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for the support, and excited to for the future. Like I said, we're going to be going out and helping with cold cases, me and Steve. We've been building a lot of resources together, and we're going to be working on the Dylan Rounds case. We're going to be working on, we might be working on the Diorans Coons case, and I'm going to keep my eye on this Matt Kemper who went missing, because we're trying to get some equipment for looking for people who, kind of like AWP where they had that sonar equipment. Steve is trying to get a hold of that equipment as well. And then, of course, we got our hands on a geophysicist. So for those that are kind of new to the channel, we are going to be, you know, evolving our channel into going out and helping cold cases and missing people. So super excited. So yeah, he's going to do the Murdoch thing. So if you just stick around, his show's going to come up. I'm going to go ahead and play the outro. I love you guys so much. Thank you, mods, for all your hard work. Thank you to all the members for your support, and we will see you guys tomorrow. I'm still here. Okay, I'm going to end my show here in just 1 second, and it'll just transfer over to Steve. I just wanted to make sure, because I almost timed that just almost perfectly. I was a little off by 1 minute, so I'm going to end it. I love you guys. I can't believe if that was really the real Kay Woodcock, that's crazy. It's an honor. I feel terrible for her, but she's been such a big support for those kids. Big support. Her and Larry. Amazing people. That'd be so crazy if that was her. Absolutely wild. Okay, I am going to end it now, and should just take you over to Steve.